Ancient Greek mythology is packed with terrifying monsters, but when it comes to the most hated figures, two groups of monstrous women often top the list: the Gorgons and the Harpies. But which group was truly more despised? Let's dive in and find out. First, let's talk about the Gorgons. The word itself conjures images of snakes for hair and a petrifying gaze. There were three of them: Stheno, Euryale, and the most famous of all, Medusa. Originally, the Gorgons weren't all monstrous. In some tales, Medusa was a beautiful priestess of Athena. Her fate took a dark turn after an encounter with the sea god Poseidon in Athena's temple. Enraged by this desecration, Athena punished Medusa, transforming her hair into venomous snakes and cursing her with a gaze that turned any living thing to stone. Her sisters Stheno and Euryale were born immortal monsters, but Medusa was mortal. The hatred for Gorgons, especially Medusa, stemmed from pure, primal fear. Imagine a creature whose very look could end your life, turning you into a stone statue forever. This wasn't just a physical threat, it was an existential one. Heroes who sought to slay Medusa weren't just fighting a monster, they were confronting their own mortality. Perseus famously defeated her by using the reflection in his polished shield to avoid her direct gaze. Even after her death, Medusa's head remained a potent weapon, capable of petrifying her enemies. The fear she inspired was so profound that her image was often carved onto shields and buildings to ward off evil. So, the hatred for Gorgons was born from terror, fear of their deadly power. Now, let's shift our focus to the Harpies. Their name literally means snatchers, and that's exactly what they did. These creatures were described as bird-like women, with the face and torso of a woman and the wings and talons of a bird. Unlike the Gorgons, whose threat was direct and fatal, the Harpies specialized in a different kind of torment: psychological warfare and constant harassment. They were agents of divine punishment, sent by the gods to plague mortals who had earned their wrath. The most famous story involving the Harpies is that of King Phineus. For revealing the gods' secrets, he was punished by being sent to an island with a huge buffet of food he could never eat. Every time he tried to take a bite, the Harpies would swoop down, snatch the food from his hands, and befoul whatever was left with their disgusting droppings. They left just enough for him to survive, ensuring his torment was endless. This wasn't a quick, stony death. It was a slow, agonizing existence filled with hunger, filth, and despair. The hatred for Harpies wasn't about fear of death, but disgust and loathing for their relentless, defiling nature. They represented a kind of living hell, a constant, nagging misery from which there was no escape. Jason and the Argonauts eventually drove them away, but the legend of their torment lived on. So, who was more hated? The Gorgons, with their instant, terrifying kill, or the Harpies, with their slow, disgusting, soul-crushing torment? While the Gorgons were feared as deadly adversaries, the hatred directed at them was mixed with a certain respect for their power. They were a challenge for heroes to overcome. The Harpies, on the other hand, earned pure, unadulterated contempt. They were seen as vile, disgusting pests, instruments of a slow and humiliating torture. There was nothing heroic about dealing with them. They were just repulsive. Ultimately, while you'd never want to meet a Gorgon, the sheer psychological and physical defilement caused by the Harpies arguably makes them the more hated figures in Greek mythology. The fear of being turned to stone is immense, but the horror of being perpetually starved and degraded by screeching, foul creatures might just be a worse fate. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below which monster you'd least like to run into. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more mythological deep dives.